So my topic was on college smoking policies and their effects on cessation of smoking rates, and generally whether or not they're successful on university campuses. Studies that were done at different colleges, and as well as other studies, and the conclusion. So many colleges and universities across the nation have implemented no smoking and tobacco policies on their campuses, but the question really is, are these policies successful? Are there high cessation rates? Is there decreases of smoking on campus and decrease of litter, and how do students react to it? And ultimately, should DeAnza College do the same? So some background information: about 2,490 U.S. colleges and universities are 100% smoke-free, and all UCs and CSUs have campuses with no smoke, vape, and tobacco. And about 99% of adult smokers begin before the age of 26, and since this age group largely includes college students, this shows that colleges are an important venue to control tobacco use through policy. So in implementing these policies, there is a goal to decrease exposure of secondhand smoking and reduce the normality of social smoking, improve the environment, and increase cessation rates. So the first study, this is from William Lechner and other authors. So at Oklahoma State University, after their tobacco intervention in 2007, they surveyed 4,947 undergraduate students during a 4-year period, so from 2007 to 2010. And their survey procedure was a Likert-style questionnaire, so they asked students a ton of questions about smoking prevalence, their beliefs about smoking, and their attitudes, the acceptance of the policy, and their opinions of exposure towards secondhand smoke. So as a result, many students said there's a decrease of the amount of exposure outdoors and at entrances, and a decrease of social smoking, and an increase of support towards the tobacco ban. And this is more specific data. So I think specifically in 2010, there was an 81.1% of students who agreed with the tobacco ban. And I guess this thing is kind of confusing because the higher the number it is for number 1 and 2, the better it is. So in 2010, it went to 3.91, which is the highest among compared to the baseline from 2007 and the other years. And this means that there was less exposure at building entrances and other places on campus. In another study, there were about 19 community colleges in North Carolina that were recorded daily on the averages of cigarette litter around their school entrances. And in schools, 6 of them were 100% smoke-free, 9 of them had designated area policies, and 4 schools didn't have a policy at all. And so the results show that there was a decrease in littering across comparison points. So from no smoking policy, litter increased drastically. So the 6 schools with no smoking policies, there's about an average daily amount of 39 pieces of cigarette butt litter, and for 4 schools with no policy, the average amount was 263. In the next study that I researched, it was on California universities, and specifically, there were randomly chosen 8 four-year universities, and similar to the last research, these schools had varying levels of policies from no smoking indoors to tobacco-free. And the results showed there was a big disparity between the 2 ends of the spectrum. So in this slide, it shows that the ones with had less people who had seen someone smoking on campus and less people who have been exposed to secondhand smoke in the last 7 days compared to the California law, which is just to have no indoor smoking, which had a lot higher rates of people who were smoking on campus or exposed to secondhand smoke. And there is also a lot of studies done at UCs and CSUs after they implemented the no smoking policies. So one big thing was that 10% reported that they had smoked in the last 30 days, while 3% reported that they intended to smoke on campus. And this basically reveals that people who are current smokers don't have too much intention to not comply to the current policy. And in a separate study, they also counted the amount of cigarette butt litter in high traffic areas, and 6 out of 7 schools, at 6 out of 7 schools, there was a dramatic decrease, except for UC Riverside, which had like a small increase, like very small. But if you look at the other schools, especially Berkeley and Santa Cruz, they had very big decreases of cigarette litter. And the blue bar is the amount before, and the orange bar is after implementing the policy. So other studies that I didn't really dive into, but there are still a lot of them. There's one from Indiana University versus Purdue University, where Bloomington had a smoke-free policy and Purdue didn't, and Bloomington had a significant change in smoking behavior and perceptions of pure tobacco use and smoking norms. And there are also other studies that I listed there. So in conclusion, if DeAnza College were to transition into a smoked and tobacco-free college, the research I found shows that there would be a decrease in secondhand smoke, there would be a good amount of compliance, there would be a decrease of social smoking, and a large decrease of cigarette butt litter. But also what I found was that a lot of the research did have drastic decreases and positive results. However, they weren't as strong as people would like. For example, there is a survey from UC students, and some students reported that they still saw smoking signs that said, "Oh, you can smoke 20 feet from the building," and like signs that weren't removed, basically. So there was like not a good amount of implementation at colleges, and other research from Halpern stated that schools need to include advertising, cessation, and support services, and education and social support. Yeah, that's it.